Okay, I want to talk about begging today. I've started this video twice, but for some reason I'm not hitting flow state. So we're going to try a third time and see what happens. Um I had this like whole discussion with myself in my notes app. Like just or not my notes app, but just like talking into my phone, and I'm realizing I should have just recorded that as I was doing it. But alas. But I want to talk about begging. I feel like it's just one of those topics where you can truly take it in any direction. Um, there are just so many different forms of begging, and there's so many like begging is also very nuanced. It's not necessarily saying please, 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 please. Um, I feel like it could also be like sacrificing parts of yourself because you feel like you don't have access to the bare minimum. So you're like giving up parts of yourself too. I don't know. Begging in general is a very vulnerable thing. I feel like begging is the most vulnerable thing you can do. You are completely exposed when you're asking for something basic, like when you're asking for just to be seen, just to be heard, just to be loved. Begging to be loved is like the kind of like the most painful kind of pain. And then you have, so that's like because love, it feels kind of abstract, begging for love, begging to be seen or heard, begging to be listened to. Like, that's not really a material thing, that's an energetic thing. But then you can also beg for food and water. If you're homeless, you're begging for food, water, shelter, and respect, I'd say. But even then, like if you can't survive like physically, you can't even beg for respect, I feel. Because you're just trying to beg for like your physical biological survival. Um and does that make sense? Like is that on the money or no? Either way, I think it's crazy because every single person has begged for something in their life. Even if you're not consciously aware of it, yes, you've begged for something. Um, as a kid, you beg for your favorite toy, your favorite food, fucking chocolate candy, whatever. That obviously is less, you know, lower stakes than begging to be appreciated for who you are. Like begging to be just like held or something like that. Um and that's the sort of begging that leaves you completely bare naked in the light, like this is what I'm asking for. Like it's it's like begging, it comes from a state of lack, I think. Like you're admitting that you are lacking something that another person has, that only another person can give you. Um and so I guess it makes you look weak, it makes you feel weak. It makes you feel less autonomous. And so I just think about like homeless people, for example. Like in New York City, there are so many homeless people. And I feel like when you're talking about begging, the most like obvious example you can say is a beggar. Like who's a beggar? It's someone who is asking for money, or they're asking for food, or they're asking for shelter. Um which it's crazy that you need to ask for these things, because these are seen, like you know if you look it up, these are, or just ask anyone, these are supposed to be basic human rights. Food, shelter, water, and respect, I'd argue, is a basic human right. And so then why is it so looked down upon and so shamed when people are begging for their basic rights? Like, how come people are switching up around homeless people? They're saying homeless people deserve to be housed, homeless people deserve, they're human, they deserve things like the rest of us. But then when it comes to that face-to-face interaction, when there's someone on the street looking you in the eye asking for $1, you're swerving, you're speeding up, you're looking away, you're avoiding eye contact, you're maybe even making a comment, you're like doing a subtle sneer, you know, they're below you. Why did they want something from you? They want to take something from you. They want to spend your money on drugs. They're sick. They deserve it. They didn't work hard enough. They deserve it. And I feel like that's low-key, like the fact that homeless people deserve it. No one wants to admit that they think that, but I swear so many people think that. It's one of like the deepest, I think it's like so deeply programmed, because like you can just see it in the way people act, because like actions are just everything. You can just see it in the way people act. Are they avoiding eye contact? Are they like literally like swerving, like backing up, like and I don't know if I'm fully like making a coherent train of thought right now, but I just feel like it's like crazy how we look down upon people who are begging for basic things like water. We see that as like lowly and, you know, just lowly and just like, I don't know what the word is, degenerate or something. But then how is that any different really than begging to be listened to when you're fucking falling apart and like the person you love is gaslighting you and you're just asking like, can I just be heard? Like, can I just be heard? Because being heard, like being listened to, should be the bare minimum. Like, shouldn't that be the bare minimum? And so it's like, oh, why is this so hard? Like, I swear I articulated this so well, like 20 minutes ago, deadass. And now I think since I've said it once, like I've said my original thoughts, now it's like sounding weird. But I just think there's like a huge double standard for begging that isn't really talked about. Or like on the subway, like I was thinking about how people come on the subway and like sing for money or dance for money or just straight up ask for money because like say like I'm broke, my wife is pregnant, we have 2 kids, and they're asking for money. And like it's much easier to just look away, look down because you can, because like they're not going to go up to you and like shake you and be like, give me $1. But also like you have to be at such a low point to go on the subway and ask for money that, like, I can't imagine, like, I don't know, you have to be at such a low point because, like, ultimately no one wants to be doing that because it feels embarrassing to admit that I have nothing. And, you know, I'm at a point where I have nothing, and so all I can do is just ask for something. Like, please spare something. I have nothing. It's a crazy thing to say I have nothing with your chest. It's like the most vulnerable place you can be. And people really look down on that, even though it takes so much courage to sit on the street and make a sign and say, like, I'm starving. I'm starving, please. Like, do you have any food? Any money you can spare? And the programming is so deep that people's minds immediately go to, oh, they're spending it on drugs. Oh, like, they're fishing, like they're faking it. They they're trying to steal, they're swindlers. Like, bro. And it's like, it's crazy how in that amount of time you're forgetting that that guy's a human just like us, and there's genuinely no difference between me and him besides the fact that I'm up here and he's down there on the street. The only difference is luck. That's it. And something's, I don't know. Is anything clocking? Is anything what I'm saying clocking or no? And the thing is, I don't think individuals should have to be dealing with a systemic problem. That's ultimately the issue. The burden is on the individual. Do I give this person money? Like, I'm also struggling to make money. Like, I'm also broke. I don't have $1 to give. I don't have empathy to spare because I'm so focused on surviving myself. That's a completely real, valid perspective. Why are we as individuals dealing with the burden of something that the state is supposed to have fixed? The state is supposed to be fixing this shit. But no, let's send $10 trillion to Israel and bomb the fuck out of Iran. Wait, let's bomb the fuck out of... Wait. Before we house the homeless, okay? Before we house the homeless, let's kill 10 million kids. Before we house the homeless, let's, what should we do? Should we build new Epstein Island? What should we do? Before we house the homeless, let's... So, why are we as individuals having to deal with the fault of the system? Capitalism is the system, is the name of the game. And so I do think that's fucked up. And so in a way now, like, as I'm speaking, I'm realizing, like, people's reactions to homeless people on the street, this feeling of, like, fear, or it's fear. I think it's a sense of fear because you know deep down that there is no difference between you and that person. There is no difference because the system doesn't actually care about humans. Because the second you're on that street, the system doesn't care about you. They genuinely do not give a fuck. They'll throw you in a cell before they give you a home. And the crazy thing is, like, some people would prefer that. Because, let's not even get into the prison industrial complex. Fine, let's get into it. And capitalism is a scarcity game. So there are going to be people on the street with nothing, and then you are in constant fear of having nothing. So to give something of yours to someone who has nothing, it feels like a zero-sum game, because capitalism is all about you're buying and selling something. But when you're begging, you're saying, I have nothing, do you have something to spare? But I have nothing to give you in return. So it's love without guarantee of a return. It's empathy without any guarantee of return, which feels like a financial risk because we live under capitalism. Okay, please guess how much goes into the prison industrial complex right now. I didn't know it was this much. Okay. It's $182 billion annually. Babes, they could solve homelessness tomorrow. And so it's actually very beneficial to the system to keep people in this guilt shame loop where, you know, maybe you're resenting homeless people because you're like, you know, they're in my space, like they're on the street, like they're disturbing, like it's uncomfortable. You're resenting them, but ultimately resentment is like a secondary, tertiary feeling. The original feeling is fear. And then maybe you're also feeling guilt because deep down you know these people are human. They're just like you. They're just like you. They deserve food and shelter and water just like you deserve food, shelter, and water. So maybe you're a little guilty. You're like, why am I feeling this way? But, you know, you're always moving forward. You're just trying to hustle, trying to survive. So you don't actually get to sit with those deep questions and, like, look outside the box that you're living in. And capitalism loves to keep you in the guilt, shame, punishment, resentment loop. That's where they want you because it keeps you, you know, looking side to side instead of up and down. And because the people who designed this system, they're separate from everyone. They're isolated from everyone. They are all the Epstein class, I like to call it. They see all of us as the same. And they don't give a fuck about whether you're on the street or whether you're in a house. They don't want to support you because they want something back from you. I feel like now I'm like making no sense again. But I don't really do a script, so. But now I feel like I've understood myself a little better through this video because initially I came in like thinking about the double standard, like how it's crazy how some people can talk about how homeless people deserve homes and how they're just humans too and how everyone deserves food, shelter, and water and all those things, and then the way that they actually act when they're faced with the situation that they're talking about, when you're face to face with it, you're acting all different than how you're talking. You're acting all different. All of a sudden, you're going into this survival mode. Like, you don't really even know what you're doing. Your words aren't matching your actions. That means the shadow is acting for you. It's way different to think about something, to observe something in a safe, closed-off space behind a textbook or, you know, with a friend versus actually experiencing it firsthand and being face-to-face with someone who's asking you for $1. You don't really get to have that intellectual supremacy there. It's full present moment. What are you doing in this moment? Are you looking them in the eye or are you running away? And so I think that double standard is super interesting. But then as I think about that more, it just reveals to me, why is this on the individual person trying to survive, to deal with this moral crisis and deal with these complex emotions, when it's actually not, it shouldn't be on an individual, because the individual doesn't have $10 trillion at hand. But the state does. And that money is not going to humans. It's not. It's going to surveillance, it's going to prison, and it's going to war. That's the big three. That's the holy trinity of capitalism: surveillance, prison, and war. And so now, like, I'm wrapping this up thinking this is really a call to question the system. And also, if you feel like you're blaming homeless people or putting the burden on them, they deserve it, it's a call to step back and say, like, why are they even in the position where they have to be begging? Who allowed them to be in the position where they have to be on the street begging in 100-degree heat, in 15-degree cold? Who allowed that to happen? Because that's not a bug, it's a feature. That's not a bug, it's a feature. It's a feature. It's never a bug, it's always a feature. Do you know who's lazy? Do you know who the lazy people are? The fucking pigs who run this country. But they don't actually run it. They just own it. We just allow them to own it. They don't do jack shit. They surveil, they imprison, and they bomb. That's what they do. That's the Holy Trinity. So, wow. I feel like I really, if you followed for this long, I'm shocked. But it's a pretty interesting conversation. And it's also, gut-wrenching. It's, not just interesting. It's also just, deeply painful.